Hey guys, I'm gonna give you a short software demo on Hyperledger um, Fabric and using Hyperledger Explorer to visualize whatever's going on under the hood. So Hyperledger Fabric is basically a blockchain application platform. If you've heard of blockchain technology, it's all the rage these days, and it's very similar to Hyperledger Fabric's very similar to the concept of Ethereum, Mist, dApps, distributed applications. But the trick with Hyperledger Fabric is that it's suited to a business case mostly because the way that Hyperledger Fabric works is that you can hide transactions. You have more fine-tuned control over the entire network, so you can control a lot more, regulate it a lot more, um, which is sort of going against the um, vision for Ethereum, which is something that's very libertarian. Sort of everyone does as they please. Everyone is equal. In Hyperledger, there's a bit more of a hierarchy there. So let's get started. I've created a virtual machine for the purpose of demonstrating um, the actual software in action. So let's get right to it. I'm going to be installing some of the prereqs to make sure that um, the software is able to install. You need Git to actually pull the files from GitHub, so we're going to install that. In addition, you also need Docker. Docker is great. You all probably know about Docker, so I won't bother explaining it, but it's a great container service that makes deploying multi-node applications a lot easier. Now let's go to Docker CE. I don't have any versions of Docker, so I don't need to remove them. Let's update the apt repository. Just set up the apt repository to allow that sort of stuff. Oh, it installs curl automatically. That's nice. It's a little. There we go. Now you can verify the key fingerprint if you so desire to make sure that you have the right stuff. So it looks like it's the same. So yeah, we're in business. Add the repository that corresponds to your Ubuntu installation. There we go. Now Docker is just going to install. And then after that finishes, we're going to add the user to the Docker group because I'm just gonna try running a little something with Docker once it finishes installing. Alrighty. So if you try to run something in Docker, you're gonna get the yield permission denied. So you gotta add your user to the Docker group. Just nice and easy like that. But you still can't run it, so you're gonna have to reboot your whole system, and that's just really nice. So I'll get back to you once it's done rebooting. How's that sound? And we're back. So now if you try to run something in Docker, you'll find something like this. It'll take a few seconds. Eventually it'll pull the image hello world. It's just a test image to make sure that Docker is running as it should. And once you see that it's running as it should, then you can move on to the next step. Yep, there we go. Okay. Oh yes, before we forget, let's install Docker Compose, which is a very nice way to facilitate the installation of, or the pulling and deployment of multiple containers that then they work together quite nicely. So just gonna install that. All right, so next we're going to clone the Docker Compose files. Oh, wait a minute. That's not right. I didn't type it in correctly. There we go. What I'm doing now is just copying the Hyperledger files out of all the other Docker Compose files, because there's a bunch of projects that are in the Docker Compose files. Git, so we don't need them, so we just need Hyperledger right there. So right now we're going to pull a bunch of Docker containers that correspond to the ones we're going to be using once we run Docker Compose. So just this will take a bit of time. So all right, so I just started a new terminal window because everything was getting a bit messy. Didn't really change anything, just started and stopped the containers to make sure that they worked, and they did. Now I'm just gonna start the Docker Compose network of containers, which we'll get a little bit of error messages, but we should, the Explorer one, like this blurb right here tells you that that everything is all set with the Blockchain Explorer. So what you can do is just type localhost :9090 to visit the Blockchain Explorer, Hyperledger Explorer. I'll just maximize that, and it'll tell you the current state of the blockchain, the number of peers, among other things. Gives you some good ideas of, I don't know, everything on the blockchain. It's really great for development, running your own chain code on the network, and it should help you do whatever you want. So, one thing about this is that it's pre-packaged in with a, well, as you saw, the Docker Compose file that I used, it's called something like 4 peers with explorer.yml up. So what that means is the GitHub user that I downloaded these Docker Compose images from basically packaged all of the nodes plus the Explorer so that it's very, it's a good default thing, good proof of concept thing to use. But if you want to sort of go your own way and not use the Hyperledger Explorer that is packaged in with the guy's Docker Compose, then you can follow some alternate instructions. You're gonna have to run Hyperledger Explorer yourself, but it's not too difficult. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go right to the root directory. We're gonna git clone another thing, the official Blockchain Explorer file. Before I forget, we actually also have to install npm Node.js package manager, because the Hyperledger Explorer runs on Node, so we need this. All right, so we've got the installs to install Node.js 8, so I'm just gonna quickly download. Got Node.js. Oh, bit of a typo. And since this is a fresh install, I don't have build. I don't know if I have build essential. I'm just guessing I don't, so I'll just install that as well. Oh, great, I have it. Okay. So now we can get back to the main. Oh, that's right, I don't have it on here. Hopefully I typed all of that correctly. I realize I probably should have these instructions on the blog as well. Would make things easier for this video and also for you guys if you wanna install this as well. There we go. Ah, that's right. We gotta go to the project directory and then run npm install and what npm install here does, if you don't have the -G setting enabled, is it only installs your packages in the directory that you're currently in. Okay. A little bit of typo here. Oh, and there's also another typo there. Install grun, not grunt. Oh, but there is a package called grun. Okay, good to know. Let's just install this. Now, when I run grunt, it's going to show you an error. And what you actually need to do is run this right here, like that command, to fix it. So what it does is you need to basically give yourself access to your own home directory. Yeah, there you go. Permission denied in some file in the config directory. So you just give yourself that, run grunt. All right, so that's compiled. Now, before I get on to this, let me just open up another terminal. I'm gonna cd to Hyperledger 0.6. Don't go to 1.0. I tried that. None of it worked because apparently Blockchain Explorer doesn't work with Hyperledger 1. Yeah, 1 point anything really. You're just gonna encounter a lot of problems in your life, and you don't want that. So we're just gonna do Docker compose with the 4 peers. I'll just move this over here. So we got that. And what we're gonna wanna do is run the command node expserver.js on, if you see that on the right terminal, and that's going to basically run the Explorer. And assuming I didn't mess up majorly, yep, that's right, that's what we should be getting. Go to localhost 9090, and there we go, Hyperledger Explorer. The big Hyperledger Explorer. And yeah, it looks exactly the same as the thing we just had, and it works pretty much the same way, although you have more control this way over whatever you deploy. All you need to make sure is that the REST API, look over here, you need to make sure that the REST service is started on this on localhost port 7050. If you do that, you won't have any issues. Otherwise, if the REST service is on some other port, just look at the Blockchain Explorer README, and it'll tell you what you have to modify in order to account for a different REST API port or location. So that's it for this video. Hope it taught you something. Hope you're actually interested in this stuff. Because being interested in stuff is nice. It's real nice.